This is it, boys. This is war.
Not to be confused with This Is War by Sick Puppies.
Alrighty,
You good?
we are posted.
Sweet.
Yep. Let me turn the light on real quick. Okie dokie.
Sweet. And here we go.
Hello and welcome to the Warrior House podcast, where Warrior Pride lives. I'm your host, Ryan Reingart, joined by my co-host, Mike Sangster. Thank you for joining us on episode 99 of the Warrior House podcast. 99 red balloons. There you go, Sangster. It's going to be stuck in your head the rest of the episode.
You were talking about it earlier when we were prepping for this one, and now it's just going to be stuck in my head the rest of the day now. Great.
You and Yeah, you and anybody that looks at our Instagram story, because I definitely put it on there as well, because it's a great song. And yeah, we are one away from 100. More on that a little bit later. We talked about it. Hard to believe we've made it this long. Hard to believe people have been listening to us this long. But here we are. We're just sharing the good word of Wayne State athletics, and we continue on halfway through May. Well, after the semester has ended, like students are long gone. Like they're not hanging around anymore. We're still talking about it.
For sure. And I do have a story. I was wearing this shirt. I had to go to Wayne County uh, Circuit Court. Had probably a couple days ago now. Uh, it's not the first time because you've had this asked yourself. I was in the elevator and somebody asked, "Are you a Wayne State coach?" I'm like, "Nope, I'm just a fan." And we talk about Wayne State athletics and we love Wayne State. And like, oh, okay, yeah, get it. But
Because nobody wears Wayne State stuff, apparently. Like
dude,
if you wear a
especially in
Michigan or
Detroit,
Michigan
like,
State thing, oh, you'll never be asked if you're a Michigan State coach if you're wearing the S. But like That
like
W something
I
something.
sort of get it in the UP when Wayne State comes to town. Like, all right, maybe somebody's hanging out, but in Detroit, you're wearing
Yeah.
the shirt of the university a mile away. Okay, but
Yeah.
I am honored to think that I look like a coach at Wayne State, though I'm not sure what I
It,
my
it,
my 1 year of football experience was in second grade. So
and we certainly have the opinions to think that we are football coaches, though. So I can see why somebody listening to us would think that we are coaches. We are not, though. But that's very funny. Yeah, that's happened to me a couple of times. So let's talk about some stuff, Thanks. We got a few things to talk about. Let's start out with some track and field. Back on May 7th, the Wayne State women's track and field team was at the Hillsdale Last Chance meet. Again, as we talked about, this was the really the last chance for some of our athletes collectively as a team to get their scores up, to get some good efforts in, but also to set some provisional times so some of our individuals could make it to the NCAA Nationals. So in this particular event, Kanisha Thomas won the 400-meter hurdles, and Hannah Bashinson got second place in the 200-meter dash. Fun note here, Hannah Bashinson was zero point 0.3 seconds off of her school record that she set last season. So she was close.
so close.
And then rolling on to May 9th, the Wayne State women's track and field team headed to Ann Arbor for the Michigan Len Paddock Open, hosted by the University of Michigan. And again, a familiar name, Kanisha Thomas, finishes second in this one, and she set a school record and NCAA provisional time for the 400-meter hurdles. More on all of that later on. Um, but she's been really taking off. And if I'm not mistaken, she's a sophomore. So I think we mentioned it a few episodes ago, barring any movement that she decides to do or whatever her future plans are, we're probably going to be talking about her for a little while.
For sure. We'll definitely be talking about her in the next segment. Do have some big news coming up for the Wayne State, for some members of the Wayne State track and field team. Going on to baseball, Wayne State was competing in the GLIAC tournament the past week. Wayne State entered as the 3 seed, uh, kind of in a weird spot because both Davenport and Grand Valley came in as number 1 and 2, and they kind of ran away with it compared to the rest of the conference.
In the
Uh,
regular season.
yeah. Uh, Wayne State starts round one, May 8th, against Parkside, who had just faced in the last regular season series at home at Wayne State. And we were saying, can we just beat this team, please? And Wayne State did. Wayne State beat them 9-7. Kind of a nail biter. It was a back and forth game the entire way. I think that Wayne State got off to a pretty early start in this one. Parkside clawed their way kind of back in, but Wayne State was able to close out the deal on that one. Looking at the second game, they would go on to face Grand Valley in round two. I got to go to this game. I had some stuff to take care of in Lansing, meeting up with some friends there. So had the chance to drop by. I've never been to the Lugnut
Jackson Field.
Stadium. Yeah, Jackson Stadium, the Lugnut Stadium before, despite living in East Lansing for 3 years. It's a really cool spot. Their font that they have kind of around the stadium actually looks like Wayne State's font, which is something I caught on to. Uh, but unfortunately, Grand Valley did get the this win in this first game, 6-0. Wayne State did have some chances. One that really stuck out to me was that Wayne State had the bases loaded kind of in the middle of the game, and unfortunately, they stranded all of the runners. Couldn't score a run in this game. And really, it was just the pitching towards the beginning of the game, coupled with the offense that just couldn't get it going. Uh, the rest of the bullpen and the closers, they held the game down, I think, through about the fifth and sixth innings on through the end of the game. So Wayne State definitely had their chances in this game. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it done.
Yeah, because in this one, Gabe Nazali got the start in this one, gave up 5 runs within his 4 innings there. So rough one, but again, as you mentioned, like I hate saying that, but it's the truth. Grand Valley was playing very well all season. They were a very good team, but we get to jab them here in a minute. But yeah, unfortunate loss here. But again, being a double loss elimination tournament, this was not the end of Wayne State's road. They had a chance on Saturday to take on I believe it was Saturday, to take on Saginaw Valley, who I believe had one loss at that point. So in this case, this was a loser goes home game, and Wayne State comes into this one, and we were able to win 7-6 in this one. This was a big one. I actually was not really following along on this one too much, but it was a really good one. I mean, this is at the very least, this essentially got Wayne State to the semifinals of this tournament. And based on coming into the 3 seed, I guess it's kind of where you hope that they would get at least to
Yep.
the game before the championship Sunday, which we'll get to here in just a second. But a very good win for this one. A really cool one here. I actually ended up finding this because Wayne State Athletics shared it, and I completely missed this because, like I said, I didn't end up watching this game. But Reagan Polina ended up getting on the Sports Center top 10, ended up being number 5 for a catch that he made. For those who don't know, I believe he's the second baseman for the Wayne State baseball team and had a snag of a grab to basically take away maybe what one of them ended up being a double. And it was a very, very good diving catch that he made in that one. So cool to see Wayne State make it under the national media.
Yeah, and I like to think that college students nowadays are like we were back in the day that, spending their morning watching Sports Center top 10. I know watching Sports Center is it's kind of a boomer thing to do now or a millennial thing to do, but I'd like to think that Wayne State got some good publicity making it onto Sports Center.
Yeah, and not to get too much onto that, but so a really quick tangent here. We were talking to Andy Tolliners, the Wayne State fencing coach recently, and not going to get into the whole conversation here. But one of the things that I mentioned is that being a D2 school, you're not on ESPN all the time. You're not going against teams that everybody sees on ESPN all the time. So to see one of our athletes from our university get onto that, like, yeah, they make it on the Instagram reels, they make it on the YouTube video, whatever. But like, that's the fact that we're so excited about that, you and me, Sangster, means like there's something to that. And like, I truly do believe the more that, we get into games against those teams that you see on there all the time, the better we're going to be, the more traction we're going to get, the more people are going to care. So that's a very good instance of that I personally was so excited to see the immediate recognition of like, oh, they found that one of our athletes did such a good thing. We're gonna give them a little snippet of time to show off how good it was.
And especially that it was something that came up during their time at Wayne State. And I know we've had a couple players throughout different sports go on to professional ranks. Joik Bell, Anthony Pittman, Hunter Brown right now is the guy that's lighting it
Diesel.
up for the Astros. So, but to have something that, it's a Wayne State player doing something for Wayne State and making it onto a national program, that's huge. Not only for them, but for the university as a whole.
And it wasn't exactly Marcus Moore smacking his head on the backboard of Math High, which,
Yeah.
hey, was still very cool to see because holy smokes, he got up.
He
Anyway,
got up and he played the next day.
so good stuff there. Anyway, so yes, so Wayne State beats Saginaw Valley, and that advances them to the semifinals, right back to take on Grand Valley, saying, sir. And I shared this out. I was so very happy about it because Jacksonfield looks like a very, very cool place, right in the middle of Lansing, right next to Lansing Brewing Company. Cool places all around. Um,
College bike
but right,
shop.
be- but right behind home plate in the tunnel was a trash can, and I mean a residential looking trash can, like something you put out at the road on garbage day. And Wayne State
That
goes
happened.
out that day and beats Grand Valley, which was fantastic by a final score of 3-1. And I post this thing out, and I'm like, it was very nice of the Lansing Lugnuts and Jacksonfield to provide a collection bin for all of Grand Valley's gear after they were eliminated by Wayne State. So that was very cool to see that. And so much that it was good enough to move Wayne State into Championship Sunday to take on Davenport, who was entering the Sunday with no losses. So we would have had to beaten them twice in order to get the championship, and it didn't happen, Sangster.
Right. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. I do want to talk about a little bit of this Grand Valley game. Uh, Shout out to Wayne State starting pitcher Keegan Holford Thorpe. Uh, just for a note here, he had never pitched more than 4 2/3 innings in any collegiate game before. He pitched 8 innings. He gave up 1 run.
That's pretty impressive.
Ethan Getting. We've talked a lot about Ethan Getting uh, throughout the season. He's made it himself through the Twitter ranks now for his crazy delivery. But shout out to Keegan because he got it done for Wayne State here because just giving up 1 run throughout the entire game and to keep that score down low enough for Wayne State to overcome. I'm going to assume that Grand Valley has some pretty solid pitching because they shut Wayne State out earlier. So giving Wayne State a chance to end up winning that game, that was huge for him.
Yeah, no, that absolutely is. I'm glad you called that out too, because
Yep.
it's one of those games that at that point we had played a number of games. Who knows what the bullpen looks like at that point? Who
Right.
knows the state of a number of our relief pitchers, even starting pitchers? I mean, you're in postseason, you're throwing everybody out there. Like Ryan Kelly would get out there and throw if he had eligibility still. That's how ridiculous it is. But yes, that is a good call out there. That a graduate student, Keegan Paulford Thorpe, got out there and threw 118 pitches and did very well in all of them.
Yep. So yeah, looking at that unfortunate game against Davenport on Sunday, Wayne State would have to beat them twice to win the championship. Unfortunately, it was not meant to be. Wayne State did get out ahead early in this one, scoring 2 runs in the first. Uh, Davenport responded in the fourth with a run. Wayne State got 2 more runs in the fifth and sixth, but unfortunately, they could not get anything going on uh, through the seventh. It actually went to extra innings because Davenport managed to score a run in the bottom of the ninth, I think even with 2 outs. Uh,
Yep.
so tough one for Wayne State. They couldn't get it done in the 11th inning. Unfortunately, Davenport hits a 3 run or gets a 3 run, homer walk off. So
Yep. Yep.
tough way to end the season. But I think the way the season was going, this was what we could hope for, is that Wayne State definitely had a chance to go out and win a GLIAC championship. And if they had done that, they would have ended up in the NCAA tournament, only a run or two away, and who knows what would have happened in the second game. So
That's exactly what I was going to say, is barring a ninth run, 3 run, or I'm sorry, a ninth run, ninth inning comeback by Davenport in that one. Wayne State wins game one, and now we're on to game two. You're talking sudden death for both teams, and both of those teams feel the weight. Granted,
yeah,
Wayne State probably feels a little bit more of the weight because they know they probably need that game in order to get into the regionals or
yep,
the NCAA tournament.
yep,
But like, who knows at that point? Like, you beat a team once. Shortly after that, you take a break, you get a protein bar, you get a bottle of Gatorade, and you got to go back out there and play again. You're still working on the high of that last win that you got. Who knows what happens at that point? So the Wayne State baseball team was that close to sneaking in. And Sangster, you mentioned it in the last episode that this is a team that, like, for decades now, like over 2 decades, has been well over 500 in, I believe,
yeah,
conference play and their overall record. Like, this is a team that has a history of being able to win, show up in those moments, and they were close in this one. I mean, they were at the 1 yard line,
right.
and we couldn't punch it into the end zone. I'll take it the way that this year has gone. The fact that we got there and it was that exciting, to me, that's a win.
Yeah, and especially for what ended up being a down year for Wayne State. As you said, this team has been good for not even good, just great for the past 2 decades. This is only their second losing season since 2015. And in that 2015 season, just like this one, they only ended up with one loss under 500. We'll clarify now. Wayne State ends up finishing the season 27-28 overall, 12-12 in conference play. That's worth noting also because Wayne State hasn't been below 500 in the conference all the way back since 2003. So, yeah, this was a tough season for Wayne State. There's no doubt about it. But to say you were that close uh, to getting an automatic bid into the Wayne State into the NCAA tournament, uh, to kind of redeeming the rest of the season in what was a down year, I'd say Wayne State ended it on a pretty high note.
Yep, completely agree. And this team's not going anywhere. We
No.
don't know anything about what the offseason looked like. Anybody who's coming in, recruits, transfers, anything like that. But I think we can both confidently say this team is not going anywhere. They're going to be a force next season. They're going to
Yep.
play for the top two, probably top three seed, and they're probably going to be playing again for nationals next year. So they're going to continue to be in our notes. We're going to continue talking about them. Very excited about them. But unfortunately, that does end the season for the Wayne State baseball team. And before we get too excited, Sangster, we have to talk about one more team that was oh so close to nationals. And we were following this team so closely in round three, and that's the Wayne State women's golf team. They were in the NCAA regionals, and this was out in St. Louis.
Yep.
Yeah. Just north of St. Louis. I'm sorry. So the Wayne State women's golf team, they were out in Missouri. For this
Yes.
one, out of 18 teams, Wayne State ended up finishing 3 strokes out of the top five. And number five, and the number five seed in this, or the fifth place team was Missouri St. Louis, the number 19th ranked team in the country. So that's how close this team was. And when we started talking about this team, we talked about the fact that we lost one of our, best performing golfers last season to the University of Akron, who, by the way, their football team can't play postseason football. Unfortunate. But those dirty,
They
grubby
might be in
mechs
D2
will
soon
just
enough. You never know. Just
send them
saying.
down. We'll take their spot. I'm all in. But we were that close there. And, closing out for round two and round three, again, this was a 3-round tournament. Wayne State was a top five team in both round two and round three. Scoring wise, they were top five, but they were seventh best in round one. And so you add all of that up, you're like, okay, well, they're clearly in it. Well, no, because, the consistency of a lot of these other top
Right.
performing teams that got them there. So, I mean, if Wayne State could go back and replay round one and understand, like, hey, just go out there and do a little bit better than you did last time, we would be in the nationals. Like, we would be, the whole team would be out in Nevada playing for a national championship. And unfortunately, that's not quite the case, but it's just one of those things. Like, we're about to go golfing here pretty soon, Sangster, for I don't know, the fourth time in our lives. And like,
And
a
we're going to
putt
do
breaks,
bad. We're
we're,
going to be
we're going to
upfront
be
with
awful.
it. Yeah.
But a putt breaks a little bit to the left. You kind of just don't get the right read on the. That's the difference that this makes. So that's how close this team was, is all of that to say. But Ting Yu Kwa, she is actually the one individual golfer for Wayne State. I believe she ended up finishing third overall as an individual
Yep.
at regionals, and that's good enough for her to head on out to nationals. Spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about her in the second half here, but we do have some national presence from one of our Wayne State golfers.
We do. And just kind of wrapping up that regionals set, you kind of hope that someone else from the team might have gotten close to what Ting Yu did. Unfortunately, it didn't break the Warriors' way. If it had, Wayne State as a team might have gone out. At this point, we can't really dwell on that too much, but we're going to talk about Ting Yu in the next half of the podcast. Moving on to men's golf, they were at the NCAA Midwest and Central Super Regional in Country Club, Missouri. Uh, Quick note: the women's golf tournament that was in Allendale at Grand Valley, uh, but this one was in Missouri, just north of Kansas City. Wayne State ends up finishing 15th out of 20 teams. Pretty far off from what was needed for nationals. In this one, in this particular super regional, Wayne State would have had to finish in the top four. Uh, really, the story of this one is that they couldn't get it going in round one and round two. They were pretty far behind in round three. They did have a pretty good showing in round three, but they would have had to be like crazy exceptional to make that big of a jump to get into the top four. So unfortunately, Wayne State's men's golf season ends there at regionals, but it is another year that they've made it to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and in this one, it was like most of our golfers were average or slightly below average for the field. Throughout the season, like sure, Josh DeCarlo, Max Leppelmile, all of them have been doing very well, but in this case, you need a couple of your golfers to be a Ting Yu Kwa. Like you need them to
Right.
perform well, and you need everybody else to basically be average. Like if you get a couple of average golfers out there, you're talking about you're 3 strokes away from making it to nationals, and it just was not the case for the men's golf team. So bummer here. But that being said, it's still fun covering them. Love covering golf. It's fun following some of the stats as they punch in their scores on the digital app. But
Yeah.
that does end the Wayne State men's golf season.
Yeah, and much like you said with baseball, this team isn't going anywhere. Mike Horn is one of the best coaches, I think, in D2. He had an excellent season this year, and he's had excellent seasons for the past 20 or so years that he's been here at Wayne State. So I
Yeah,
don't think this team is going much of anywhere. Also, I do want to point out that the teams that did make it out of this super regional, I think were all from the central part of the super region. So the top four was Central Oklahoma, Missouri St. Louis, Missouri S&T, who Wayne State did beat uh, in some
Yep.
invitationals earlier in the season, and Central Missouri. Uh, the only teams that really made it out from like what you would call the Midwest, Finley made it out what was higher in the GMAC at 17 over. Saginaw Valley and Ferris State were kind of 22, 23, and Grand Valley was 25 over. So at the end of the day, they didn't make it either. So maybe it was something about the course, but it really seemed to favor some of those central region teams as opposed to the Midwest ones.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Talking about there's something about going to the South, and we're going to talk a little bit about one of these sports here that's going to be heading to the South for some
Yep.
postseason action here pretty soon. But you're exactly right. This men's golf team is going nowhere. They're going to be in contention again next season. Mike Horn's in charge. He's calling the shots. He's helping these guys out. Hopefully, he sends us a golf bag. I mean, it'd be sweet to have a Wayne State golf bag, but we can only hope. We're not great, but we'll represent. We always do. But that does end the Wayne State men's golf season.
Yep.
And one more slightly sad note before we end segment one on a high note here, Sangster. The Wayne State men's tennis team, they were in the regional for the Midwest, one of the Midwest regionals for tennis. In round one, they went in to UIndy, who is the host of this one as the 2 seed. And they were taking on Ferris State. Wayne State was taking on Ferris State. And we mentioned this is a scary first round. We've played this team twice. We played them close the last time. It came down to that final singles match that we ended up winning.
Yep.
And we were able to beat Ferris State. And so we get another shot at them. And I was like, this is a scary one. Like, we've beaten them twice. We know we can beat them. There's something about playing a team that third time that, like, hopefully don't get in your head. And then that team does, eventually get the win over you. Ferris State got the win in this one, and it ended up being 4-3. Of course, it was a close match. Like, there was no way that this was going to be a blowout one way or the other. But Ferris State got the win in this one. Very, very unfortunate. Wayne State started out well though. They started out, got the doubles point. They're up one to start. George Day, quick win, knocks it out. Louis Klaus knocks it out. They both get their singles win, and that's it. Um, Two of Ferris State's wins. Actually, the only two singles matches that went to the third set, Ferris State got both of them. That's not a recipe for great stuff there, unless you're winning all of your stuff in those two sets. If you're getting down to crunch time, needing to get the win, we'll talk about needing to get a win in the third set here in a minute, and the other team's getting it, it's kind of a rough spot to be in. And then, unfortunately, that's what happens there. So, looking at the end of it, rough end of the season for the Wayne State men's tennis team. I think they should have been able to win this one. I mean, again, we've beaten Ferris State twice, but there's something about it, man. Like, how do you go out there, Sangster? Like, you face this opponent so many times. They know as much about you as you know about them at that point. It straight up comes down to skill and who's got their head in the right spot. Can you do the same thing three times, facing the same player in three different locations? Now the stakes are different. Everybody knows what the stakes are. You win and you go on, you lose and that's it. And
Right.
Ferris State got the last laugh.
Yeah, and that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles in this one. We talk about it in football, the NFL mostly with, you've played two conference opponents and guess what? You're gonna face them again or division opponents. Guess what? You're gonna face them again now in the playoffs, and you gotta beat them for a third time. Maybe you swept them during the regular season, and somehow that's how it goes. And yeah, it's a tough end for Wayne State here, especially Cedric. He's been with the program a long time, been an outstanding player. I think he's going to get into the Wayne State Hall of Fame in a couple of years.
He should.
Yeah, no doubt. But at the same time, the team as a whole, they didn't, classic phrase, they didn't return a lot of production. Uh, but to say that, hey, you made the NCAA tournament again with what you had, you were pretty close to winning the GLIAC tournament, one game away, didn't go how you wanted it to. But for what the season was, I think that Wayne State did a pretty good job. They have a lot to build on going on through the next several years. Just like we said with baseball, just like we said with men's golf, and even with women's golf too. This team isn't going anywhere. This team has done very well, and they have a very solid foundation to build upon. Uh, just to kind of wrap up what happened with the rest of the D2 tournament, uh, Ferris State would eventually fall to UIndy. UIndy, along with Grand Valley, are the Midwest representatives inside the NCAA men's D2 tournament right now. So let's not go Grand Valley. Let's go Columbus State, who they're going to face in about 6 days or so. So
Yeah, and for the record, UND smoked Ferris State
yeah,
in the next
it was
round.
not
So
close.
all that to say, like, who knows what would have happened? So, you know, at least Ferris State lost, I guess, if we want to do that.
Right. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
There you go. We'll take that. We like the UND guys on X. We kind of go back and forth with them a little bit, so that's kind of fun. But
For sure.
anyway, I cut you off, Sangster.
No, you're good. But that kind of wraps up the well, it does wrap up the Wayne State men's tennis season. That yeah, they ended on a tough note, very close to making it on uh, to at least having a chance to making it on to NCAA championships. But another year that they're in the NCAA tournament as a whole with a very young team, and I think the future is going to be very bright for them still.
100%. So let's close it out on a happy note.
Yes.
Accident that we saved this one for the end. The Wayne State women's tennis team, number one seed in the Midwest. Not a shock. They are the best in the Midwest, and we're going to tell you exactly why. But before we get there, but the way that their bracket worked out, so Wayne State was able to host their regional, and their regional is very small. They were the number one seed. They get the round one bye. Basically, they end up playing the winner of Tiffin versus Ferris State. And that game happened, I think, the day before. And it was Tiffin. Tiffin won that one. Tiffin beat Ferris State. Thank you so much, Tiffin. You have a very beautiful city. Your downtown is awesome. You have a very cool cocktail bar there. So all of that.
Not just a
Um,
cocktail bar, a bourbon bar.
it's specifically a bourbon bar. Very good stuff there. So Tiffin comes back. Weather sucked, so this ended up being an indoor as opposed to an outdoor match against Tiffin, and Wayne State snuck a win out, Sangster, against Tiffin, and this came down to the final singles match in the third set. So let's set the scene. Tiffin wins the double point. They're up 1-0. Anna Isrusin, for me, deserves so much credit for this one because I was following her stats a little bit. I tried to find a live stream of this one, and for whatever reason, there
There
wasn't.
was
There
no
wasn't
stream.
on.
It was
No,
just
there
this
wasn't. It
bummer.
wasn't on Flow. It wasn't on WSU All Access. It was on none of that. I tried so hard. So I was following the stats. Anna Isrusin came down to a tiebreaker in the second set. She loses that tiebreaker. She loses the match. She won that tiebreaker, went into the third set, smoked her opponent away, and got a win for Wayne State. That was a very, very important one because, as I just said, we ended up winning this one by score 4-3. And then the other one that was extremely important that we were following along with Sangster, and I think you were in attendance for this one, if I'm not mistaken, Martina Spakowska, all eyes on her.
Yes, definitely to end that, but I do want to back up a bit because not only Anis Rusin, but Malik Arafat had a very similar match as well. That yeah, she didn't have a great first set. She ends up winning the second set. Her third set, she wins it in a tiebreaker, and another tiebreaker for Wayne that ended up, well, it didn't help Wayne State at the end, but yeah, another one was between Shanice Weeks and her Tiffin opponent. She ended up winning a tiebreaker in the first set, didn't win the second or the third, but this was a tight match through and through. The only Wayne State tennis player that absolutely ran away with this one was Dea Gorgidze against her Tiffin opponent. She smoked him 6-1, 6-3. Everything else was down to the wire, including this matchup between Martina Spakowska and her Tiffin opponent, Anisha Siva Kumar. Yep, because everyone was shouting, "Let's go, Anisha." So I got there like right in the middle of the second set. Martina had just won her first set 6-3. When I got there, uh, Martina was, I think, down 4-1. She came all the way back up to tie it up at 6-6. It ended up being a tiebreaker set, and then once you get in, you're kind of watching it. It's a little hard to keep track with the number of sets that are going between the two, and sometimes I forget tiebreaker rules. Unfortunately, her Tiffin opponent had beaten her in the second set, again down the little wire. It was extremely close. I had to go at that point, had stuff to do, uh, but Martina was able to get it done in the third set. She ended up winning it 6-3 to send Wayne State on to nationals. And I do have to say, I've been the only thing I can even think of that's close to that is not only myself in rec baseball, but like a baseball player being, you know, you're at the plate, it's the ninth inning, it's two outs. If you hit a home run or you even hit, an RBI, you win the game for your team. Being in that position that you're the last match of the entire tennis match, that everything is tied up and it's all depending on what you do in those two or three sets, that's got to be infinitely more stressful, and Martina certainly pulled it out.
Yeah, I was thinking about it and I was trying to visualize because again, I couldn't watch the live stream, but I can only imagine there's four indoor courts. One of the courts has
Yep.
action going on. Both of the teams and everybody and all the fans and everybody are watching this one court.
Yes,
And
that's
everybody
exactly how
knows
it was.
the
Yep.
winner of that match sends their team on to nationals. The weight of that, like both of these players feel that. Like they know there's a reason they're still playing because you don't play it out. It's the first one to four wins, moves on. And so
Right.
like feeling that, like again, not being able to watch it live, bit of a bummer. I wish I could have made it to actually be able to see this one, but like that speaks volumes of like what she was able to do in that moment on her home court, which like
Yep.
thank goodness it was on home court because if it wasn't on home court, I'd like to think that she would still win. But boy, that's a completely different situation at that point. But yeah, you're exactly right. Like the weight of that is just oh, it's the weight of the world on your shoulders at that point. So I'm glad she was able to pull through. This team absolutely deserves to be in nationals, and because of uh, Martina, Anna Sursin, Malik Arafat, making those big time, completely matched or game changing wins, as well as the doubles point for what it's worth. Like that makes all the difference. So really cool stuff there. I'm glad we get to continue talking about them, which we will talk about them here in the second half. Before I ask Sangster, anything else to add on the women's tennis team?
No, I think we'll cover it in the next segment.
We absolutely will. So with that, we'll take a quick break and we'll be back. We got a couple more things to talk about.
All right, all right, all right. I think we're
Three
pretty set
sports.
for the next one.
Yeah, we're good. We have Ting pull up. See how she's doing. Hopefully she's not doing worse. So she picked it up. She got a birdie.
I was gonna say that there was a lot of holes she still had to play, and she had a lot of opportunity to move up.
Yeah, she got a birdie
She
in
moved
there.
to
She got a
fourth
couple
class.
pars. Dude, if you look at
Plus,
her round one score, oh my goodness, it's so many pars. Like the fact that she was just playing the course and doing very well is pretty cool.
yeah. I mean, right now she's +3. There's so many that are +3, +2, +1.
Yeah.
Even if you can finish even, you go from 40 to 17.
Yeah. If you're a scratch golfer,
Right.
that's pretty cool.
Yep.
So I mean, yeah, we'll chat about her here in a
The
second.
margins are pretty thin here.
Yeah, just she's got two par fives coming up, three par fours and one par three. Par threes are hard, man. If you mess up that drive, you got to be a damn good putter because like nobody birdies a par three. People
CSU.
people do.
All right. So I assume they're the leading team. They have a bunch of good players, is right now California State University, San Marcos.
Hmm.
San Marcos, California. San Marcos, California is roughly halfway between Los Angeles and San Diego, closer to San Diego.
Hmm.
Neat. Yeah, team leaderboard. Oh yeah, they're running away with it. DBU is second. Finley is fifth.
Dang.
Sweet.
Alrighty, let's do
Right.
it. And we're back. Not much to talk about, Sangster. We're really kind of winding down the season at this point. We'll talk about what we got coming up here after we talk about what Wayne State Athletics has coming up. So to start out, Wayne State women's golf team. At this point, we're talking Ting Yu Kwa. She is the lone golfer for the Wayne State women's golf team. She is currently competing at nationals, and at last count at 8:04 p.m. on May 14th. She is tied for 43rd at 3 over par total. She is still competing. She's got a number of holes left and then round 3 to go as well tomorrow on May 15th. So she's got a really good opportunity in front of her. And, definitely a surprise because she's a freshman. Like she's
Yeah.
new to this team, new to college, all of that. And she just came in and she started competing and she's the best on the team right now. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's very cool to see. I wish that was a little bit more of the norm. It actually, I take that back. It definitely seems like it is the norm because Mysara Hezri, who, if I'm not mistaken, was a freshman last year for the Wayne State women's golf team, who transferred, was the statistically the
Pretty
best
good.
on the team at
Yeah.
that point. So
Yep.
very cool that we continue to be able to bring in well players that are good, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And she's proving that
Yeah.
at a national level on her
For sure.
on her
And
own.
and right now the margins are so thin at this competition because if she manages to get up to even with par, she gets up to 17th, all the way from 40, what did we say, 43rd. So
Yep.
that's making a three-stroke improvement, gets her up that far. If she gets manages to get one under, has a really good rest of her match. This time around, she gets to number 14. If she
Damn
gets
near top
to
10.
if she gets to two under, she gets to number 9. The margins are that thin when you get to this level of golfers right now.
Yeah, and we talked about it with the entire team is one putt falls. You get
Yep.
better speed on this one. You get a better read on the fairway. You line it like it makes all that much different. One stroke makes that much of a difference. So really good for her. I'm glad that as a freshman, new to college, I mean she's from Taiwan, if I'm
Yep.
not mistaken. So
Yep.
really cool to see her be able to come over here, compete, honestly, and get to see a lot of the country. That's very cool to me. Like that we give her that platform to be able to do that, and she's cashing in on it. That's very cool to see there. So hopefully, we continue to see good stuff from her
Yep.
as we close into round 3. Again, that's going to be happening on Thursday, May 15th. So let's actually jump to the Wayne State women's track and field team, Sangster, before
Yep.
we close it out with tennis. The Wayne State women's track and field team, we are sending some athletes out to Pueblo, Colorado. This is actually hosted by Colorado State Pueblo. And we're sending a couple athletes, Reagan Justice, who's surprised. She's going to be competing in the 10,000 meter, and Kanisha Thomas, who's going to compete in the 400-meter hurdles. Again, who's surprised on that one? She set the school record, I don't know, 47 times this season. It kind of feels like we continue to mention her
Close,
name.
and she was close last week.
Yeah, and she just set a NCAA provisional record on that one, or NCAA provisional time on that one. So absolutely deserves it. Glad to see them both out there. I wish the whole team could be out there, but it's not always how it works out there. Maybe we have a little bit of a topic on that one coming up here in episode 100. Hint, hint. But really cool stuff from them. We get a little bit of representation at the national level, and I think these two athletes definitely deserve it.
Absolutely. And so we're going to wrap it up now with Wayne State women's tennis. As we were just talking about earlier, they have moved on from the NCAA regionals onto NCAA nationals, and they will be happening May 20th through May 25th, and they will be definitely in Florida. And I don't have the city at the exact moment, but Wayne State will definitely be there.
Altamont Springs,
There we go. Just north
just
of
north of
Orlando.
Orlando.
Yep, I think that's where it's been the past few years. Wayne State enters as the number 11 seed. They'll be taking on the number 6 seeded Dallas Baptist University. It'll be starting out on May 21st at noon. Uh, so, quick note here that I just see that you have here. This apparently Dallas Baptist's first time reaching the Sweet 16 in women's tennis. Uh, Good for them. Congratulations. Looking
I hope
at
it's their
the
last. No, just kidding. I hope we knock them out.
hopefully they're a quick exit. I had not heard of Dallas Baptist University, but they also just popped up on the uh Wayne State, not Wayne State, NCAA D2 Women's National Championship. Right now they're in golf. Right now they're number 2. Uh, so uh, they apparently have some good sports there. So it's probably going to be a tough out for Wayne State. I mean, they're one of the best 16 teams in the country now. So again, it's time for Wayne State to show that they are the best team coming out of the Midwest. And I think this is a long time coming that Wayne State should be able to move on throughout the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and you think about it, like looking at some of the top seeds, Barry is the number 1 overall seed. We played them. Nova
Yep.
Southeastern is number two seed. We played them.
Yep.
There's a couple other ones in there. I don't remember if the women's tennis team played Flagler. I think they did. That's the 5 seed. So we've played a lot of these teams. We understand how good some of these teams are. Who's to say we can't go out and beat Dallas Baptist?
Right.
Like they're a good team. Like there's a reason they are the number 6 seed. There's a reason that they are in the NCAA Nationals. But we've gone against these teams. We understand the stage, and this team is not new to the national level. Like we've made it here many times over the last, I don't know, 13 years that you and I have been around Sangster
Right.
with Wayne State. Like they've been there, they've done that. We can do it again. But yes,
With a
you are
lot of these
correct.
same players.
Yes, with a lot of these same players, exactly. So, this is just another one of those. Like, go out there, play your game, get that doubles point. Honest Racine, Malik Arafat, do your best to go out there and get your win. Somebody else go get a win. Ideally, 2 of you. That way, like, we can make it a convincing win.
Right.
Really, I make it sound so simple all the time, of course. But, like, at the end of the day, usually if you
Survive
don't
in
win your
advance.
well, yeah, if you don't win your doubles point, you don't win your number 1 individual tennis player, and your number 2 don't win, you're relying on everybody else at that point. That's not a recipe for success. So, like, you want your best of your best, the ones that you put out there, to go and make it happen, put you into a position to win. And hopefully that's what happens here, because I think this team absolutely deserves it. I think they can do it. Um, and you're going against a team that honestly has not been at the stage before. Not to say that Dallas Baptist can't win, um, but they haven't been here before. Like if you just said, like this is their first time here. A lot of our athletes have been here before. They understand what the weight of it is. We just witnessed the fact that Martina Spikoska had everybody staring at her saying, "All right, are you going to win, or is the Tiffin player going to win?" Martina was able to pull that one out at a very, very timely moment. So we'll see, Sangster. We'll see. I'm hoping for it. I can't wait to watch this one though.
Yeah, I can't wait either. If Wayne State does end up winning this one, they would be facing either the number 3 seed Midwestern State or the number 14 seed Rockhurst. Again, not like the top of the top that usually you'd be looking to find in these tournaments. They wouldn't be looking at like a potentially facing an Azusa Pacific or a Northern Southeastern or even Slippery Rock until going into the semifinals, into the Final Four. There's certainly a solid case to be made that this team could. I think they've got a Final Four shot. I think they've got a shot definitely to make it to the national championship game, if not win it all. I think this bracket has them uh, pretty well seated that that could happen.
Yeah, 100%. So it's going to be a while before we
Yep,
post episode 100 of the Warrior House podcast. So we will post some stuff out there. We'll follow along. We'll get something out there to let everybody know what's going on for those that don't follow along with the stats and the socials and all that sort of stuff.
for sure.
We will make sure we have some stuff out there. But Sangster, this is likely going to be the end of season 3 of the Warrior House podcast.
Who'd have
Very
thunk it?
excited for Yeah, no, it was a fantastic
Yep.
season. So, well, thank you for everybody for listening. First of all, we have some fun stuff coming up though. So first of all, have a fantastic summer. Enjoy it. We have a lot of good stuff coming for episode 100, which I believe we will be trying to do sometime over the summer. I'm not exactly sure when. I think a lot of that definitely depends on how some of these teams do coming down the stretch here. And yeah, we're definitely not gonna forget about our women's tennis team. We're definitely not going to forget about our track and field athletes, and we're certainly not going to forget about Ting Yu, who is out competing right now. We got a lot of cool stuff to talk about there, but yeah, that's what we got, Sangster.
Yeah, we'll have episode 100 coming out this summer. Episode 101 is probably going to be the start of season 4 of the Warriors podcast. Probably going to be starting out previewing football. Big season for them coming up. We can't wait. We've already gotten a glimpse of them at the spring showcase, but exciting things are in store, I believe.
Exciting stuff. So I'm eager to get episode 100 out. We got some cool stuff. I think we got some ideas that are going to get some people talking a little bit, get some ideas flowing. Just like tell us your opinion, see what you're thinking here. Do a quick recap on all of the teams over the last 2024 to 25 season. Talk about what we have coming up. A number of different things. I'm pretty excited about it. So hopefully everybody likes it. But with that, that closes out season 3. That closes out episode 99. And that closes this one out, Sangster. So, with that, we appreciate everybody listening in on this episode of the Warrior House podcast.
Remember, it's always a great day. It's a great year to be a Wayne State Warrior.